What's happening? What's happening? What's happening? Welcome to the No Backboard Basketball Show live. This is Mark T, inventor of Basketball the Remix, the modern interpretation of the original game, and the founder of the No Backboard Basketball League. And today I'm excited about this show. We have a gentleman on today that is, I believe, gets it. I believe has an intimate understanding of the power of athletics and athletes can have on the communities that they live in, the communities that they work in, and leveraging their celebrity to make an impact in the communities that they serve. And as I share my journey down the with No Backboard Basketball League and bringing that to the marketplace, and I share my journey understanding name, image, and likeness, and how to leverage name, image, and likeness to provide a value to young athletes and their families, and to empower them with the education, with the preparation, with the promotion, as well as being able to pay them. I think it's important that fundamentally they're anchored with a sense of humility and desire to serve the community. So far this week it's been great. I had a conversation with Dr. Joe Blake, financial literacy expert, and one of my takeaways with the conversation with Dr. Joe Blake what is that financial literacy is not a product, and I think that is something really to be stressed. I actually taught financial literacy while I was coaching high school basketball just 3 years ago. I was leveraging the Dave Ramsey's course. And I think the distinction between financial literacy as a product, a banking account, insurance, mutual funds, investments, etc., versus the having the knowledge of financial knowledge and knowing what tools and products to purchase to achieve your financial goals makes a person financial literate. So I thought that was really, really powerful. And then also we had Mark Kester on, the author of NIL for All. And wow, really awesome. I think he gets it because his book is really geared toward the information he provides is really geared towards the everyday student athlete, that young man, that young lady, that person who will go to school for 4 years on a low Division 1, Division 2 NIA, possible partial scholarship, etc. But is armed with, as Mark puts it, life skills. NIL now is actually a life skill for any student athlete going to college. So that conversation with Mark really was insightful. And then I had an opportunity to get introduced to Project NILO, which is being launched by World's Best Connectors and being led by Denise Meredith, CEO of World Best Collector. Project NILO adds the O, ownership, to the concept of NIL. And this aligns with my initial thoughts that has driven my activity with developing the whole idea of the No Backboard Basketball NIL Prep League, in that with NIL, we have the opportunity to reimagine working with student athletes and leveraging NIL as a tool to help give them basic business and personal branding and other skills that will translate just into a successful life, as well as helping them earn money earlier and then know how to manage that money earlier in their life to give them a better foundation. So this past week, just stepping out and saying, hey, I'm going to start this No Backboard Basketball League show. I'm going to start sharing my journey, start understanding this NIL. So far, so good. And so with that, I'm really excited to introduce this gentleman here, Tim Claiborne. I've met Tim through the locker room sports community. which is a networking community that he's launched, he leads, he manages. And he is a world-class connector himself. Has sponsored several events, networking events here in the Phoenix community. I've been able to partake in and meet great people and engage in great conversation and develop a few business relationships. In addition to that, Tim's heart, which is apparent to anyone who follows Tim on social, on LinkedIn, is all about athletes serving the community and how can athletes leverage their celebrity to advance as business people and investors, and then bring it all together in just bring it all together. So I'm going to stop chatting. I want to bring Tim in here, and I have opportunity to start this conversation with Tim. Hey, Tim, thank you for joining the show today.
Hey, what's going on, Mark?
You got it, my man. You got it. Did I hear a puppy right there? You got a puppy right there?
No puppy.
Okay. All good. Hey, so as I was saying, Tim, I really look forward to the time we have here today. My recent focus has been understanding name, image, and likeness, and how I can leverage that to couple with what I'm doing with the No Backboard Basketball League and provide some opportunities for these young athletes. And the one thing that's always impressed me about you, well, a couple of things, actually, not one, but one, the many things that has impressed me about you is you pulling together the locker room sports community, a fantastic community of people, as well as the work you do to in the community and supporting causes in the community, and then connecting people in the community. So with that, I'm starting all my shows with the same three questions. I would like to start your in the beginning question on in the beginning, where did the passion to connect athletics with community service and empowering the athlete as an entrepreneur, where did all that start off?
I think it started, well, probably like a lot of things for a lot of people, it started out more by figuring out what I don't like, what I don't want to do than what I do want to do, right? So you go through some things, you get in, I knew I was attracted to business just because I wanted to, be able to be creative. I wanted to be able to control my own time. I wanted to be able to, be independent of a, a traditional job. So I knew I love business. Sports has always been a meaningful part of my life since like as far back as I can remember. As soon as I could, run, jump, throw a ball, whatever, sports has always been huge in so many ways in my life. And just the impact, the community impact, I love getting out there and supporting the charities and, looking at business and realizing there's so many different ways you can make money. There's so many different businesses you can get involved in. So like, why not do something that helps people, that's impactful, that you feel good about at the end of the day versus just, hey, I made another dollar, right? So
right.
So when you start realizing, hey, how can I combine all of those things in a way that's going to allow me to really express what I want to be about, but even more importantly, just attracting the right people. And that's kind of where the community aspect of it comes in. So.
And that part right there, attracting the right people. There's I think there's a magic touch you have with that, with the community that you put together, and the connections that you're facilitating with that community. And I feel you. I think my challenge with that, figuring out first what you don't want to do, is kind of being conditioned as I entered the front end of the pipeline as a youth. And that's what you want to do. That's what you should want to do. And really wrestling with, well, I embraced this whole idea and then realized, wait a minute, this idea doesn't fit me very well. I need to take this idea off and find a new idea to put on. So within that, what did you discover as being your passion and your why? So you go through this process of figuring out what you don't want to do. You start exploring areas, your interest. What ultimately became the driving passion, your why that you wake up every day?
I would say for me, like it was really trying to get back to that community feeling, that team feeling, that locker room feeling that you have growing up as an athlete. And so many people I miss the game, I miss the sport, I miss all that. But when it really comes down to it, when you talk to everybody, what they miss was a locker room. They miss the relationships. They miss that you don't get that in the business world. You're not going to go to the corporate world and have that same type of team, same type of connection with people. And I just really been involved in enough projects and enough businesses where it's kind of like I want to start with working with the right people. Like you give me the right people and we'll figure out the rest later. And so I've been my personality, I've made a lot of mistakes, and most of it's because I've been isolated. I've tried to do things by myself. I haven't reached out for help. I haven't had that team. I haven't had that community. And so it's been reinforced for me that I need that. Everybody needs that, And so, but you got to do it in a way that really resonates with you. Like I said, I get out there in the local business community or in the startup community. And it was like, there were certain things of it that resonated with me, but it wasn't, I was kind of, this is not really my place, And so when I was able to fuse that with sports and fuse that with knowing I'm doing something positive, you have your community impact, you're serving people and everything like that. That's when it really, that's when it kind of all came together, I could say.
Man, well said. Well said. I know that I am challenged with that at times. At times, feel like, okay, let me put this all on my shoulders and run down the field and boom, boom, run through everything. But we all know this as athletes, man. It's individuals may win some accolades, but it's always a team that wins championships. And with March Madness starting, I'm a basketball guy. One of the most exciting things and why we all tune in to March Madness is for the fact is we're going to see some teams overcome some challenges, and we're going to see that team energy. We're going to see the teamwork, the team that was built months ago,
right,
culminate in that moment. And because we relate to that, that's where that excitement comes from, and supporting the underdog, etc.
Right.
Well said. Well said. So how today, so you have the sports, you have the locker room, sports community. I know I've been in and out for the past close to 18 months now, I believe, have developed some relationships. So that's been moving along. Where would you say your focus and passion is today? I think you mentioned in some posts you might be working on a few things. Is there anything you can share today with some projects that you're channeling that energy into?
Well, what's been interesting to me in trying to create this community and trying to have this common thread where everyone is connected. Everyone's connected through a passion for sports, and I like to believe that the people that we're attracting, like you said, are very community focused and they're giving. But it's been interesting because we have a pretty, as you know, it's a pretty diverse, broad-based community from all over the sports world, and so that creates a lot of opportunity, but it also creates some challenges because everybody's got different goals. Everybody's got different things they're pursuing, right? And so if you get together sports media guys and professional athletes and those who work in the front office and nonprofit members and coaches, and there's so much overlap and there's so much similarity, but at the same time, everybody's looking for something a little bit different. And so that's really what I want to build is this, that we have this larger community, but within it, it's much more about creating kind of micro communities and niche groups, and people are able to create their own experience, build their own team. Not what you get with social media, where it's just kind of a bunch of mess and it's a bunch of noise and you got to filter through the feed and try to find what you want. You're able to kind of create that for yourself and be able to have those relationships come together organically, yet at the same time, all these different stakeholder groups creating relationships where there's win-win. So I can get the sports nonprofits together with the sports business and sports tech guys and figure out how do we create these relationships that are going to promote the causes, that are going to raise more money, that are going to promote the brands, right? How do you get the athletes together with the sports media, with the podcasters, with the content creators, and say, hey, I know you've got something great you want to promote, and I know you need some guests and you want to grow your audience, and this is how we do that. Everybody wins. Everyone's pursuing their own interests, but at the same time creating like this collective benefit for the rest of the group. So it's not as easy to do, but I feel like it's coming together, and I feel like just each iteration it's getting more clear, and I'm just getting more and more feedback from people about, hey, I'm meeting all these people and we're doing this deal and we're doing this, and this has happened for me because of that, and it's all going in the right direction.
No, and I think you nailed it. My concise takeaway is it's all going in the right direction. And the biggest challenge is, what is that common denominator that runs across all the diverse individuals, segments, sports, professions that all pulled into this locker room, right? And
right.
Nailing that. You got it, man. You have any insight on that? once you nail that, and that's a powerful community. So
yeah, and I think some of it's just the attitude I've tried to have towards my building my own network and towards connecting people in general, where if you can figure out, I love the creative part of being able to see what's not there yet, right? So I'll meet somebody and they've got their business and I love what they're doing, but they're grinding away over here and they're struggling, and there's like something they really, you can see it a lot easier from the outside than when you're in the middle of it and it's right. You can be like, this person needs this, and then you see somebody over here and they're doing something else too, and they're just grinding, they're working hard, they're doing their thing, and you can see what they need. And it's like real obvious to me that, like, you know what, you two need to get together because you both complement each other. Like you have the strengths they don't have, and he has strengths you don't have. And it helps everybody win. But people don't always see that. Like I see it, but not everybody does. And so when I'm able to create these connections for people, that doesn't feel like much work or effort or anything like that. I see the results, and I see the impact, and I see how I'm able to help people move their goals forward, move their projects forward. And that's the whole point of the community. It's not just to be like a networking thing where people just kind of come in and everybody does their little pitch and trades business cards and sees who they can sell something to today and stuff. But it's really a community, which is a different level of interaction.
And I think that's a distinctive insight. And I'm thinking about right now. I'm comfortable to say his name. I'm thinking about Matt Wolf, somebody I've met in the community. I've done business with because I've met him in the community. But at the event at Santan, that during the Super Bowl weekend, I had the opportunity to go up, right? But even prior to going up, and I mentioned to him that, I told him I'm on the list. He was in my ear. Hey man, did you double check? Make sure you're on the list, right?
Right.
See, those are those subtle things. Those are those encouraging, supporting, And then when I went up and had my few minutes on the stage to, talk about my project, here comes Matt. He comes to the stage, and I had some handout collateral, and he comes up and hands it to me and make sure I has that, right?
Right.
And that's the energy, that's the spirit of the community you're talking about. And and in that, he was supporting me in my effort, and that went far beyond just doing some business transactions, right? And and to me, that's my example of what you're sharing as what you want that energy to be, and what you're seeing, what it looks like in a small example. But I totally get that. I totally get that. As well as with Reginald Grant. I've done some things with Reggie, who I met through the community, and the same thing. Willing to pick up the phone. Hey, I'm looking for this. Willing to toss out a recommendation and make the connection. So I think that's a very powerful thing. So that leads me to ask this question, because you have it on your LinkedIn, and I'm curious about what your definition is of this, because I've used the term myself from time to time, and not really clear if I'm using the term correctly, or if you would, without really hearing other people use the term, and that's a conscious capitalist. So when you use the term conscious capitalist, how are you using that term? How are you defining a conscious capitalist?
Well, when I use the term on one level, there is an actual official organization called Conscious Capitalism, which was founded based on a book of the same name by John Mackey, who was the founder of Whole Foods. Another man, I think Raj Sisodia, was the co-author. But my point is, I read that book, and it wasn't like the book changed my views as much as the book was like, okay, those are my people. Like I was already thinking the same way, and all of a sudden, then I was like not only introduced to a community of people who believed it, but also he was able to just articulate the views in a much more much more meaningful way than I was myself. So I knew how I looked at business and how I looked at what's wrong with business a lot of times, and how transactional it is and exploitative it can be, and how it's just about making money for the boss or making money for the shareholders, and the rest of it, it's like whoever gets hurt or whoever doesn't win doesn't really matter. But the conscious capitalism was much more about going to like another level. Like, yeah, we can do business and we can make money, and we should. And if we're creating a quality product or service, then that should be a natural byproduct. But it's about what else are we doing? Like, what kind of impact is this creating in the community? What kind of opportunities is it creating for other people? Like, whether it's our employees or whether it's, how are we really serving the customers? Are we just selling them stuff that's going to poison their bodies so we can make a few dollars, or are we actually doing something that's going to improve their lives or give them a better quality of life? And so I think that's really what it was. That's really what it was about for me, which is understand like you can do business in a different way. You can do business in a way that's you can feel good about, and that's about a lot more than just making money. And some people misinterpret that, like, oh, so you're saying it's not about making money. It's like, yeah, it's a for-profit business, but that doesn't have to be all it's about or all that drives it.
I need to get that. I think I found another tribe to connect with, because for over a decade, I just looked it up. I published an ebook and I put it on Lulu years ago. A lot of what I do as far as creating content, to be candid, is really for documentation. Over the years, it's been for documentation. It's been to have the receipts. Have the receipts. I've been saying this, been consistent when it pops off, but also for those that really want to do the deep dig and see if the message has been consistent over time. Is this what I really stand for? That the receipts are there. And so just the other day, I haven't checked on it. I don't even think I never promoted it. It's called Change the Game, Change Communities. And my thesis is that a new basketball sport that is new enough and creative enough that has a clear canvas, meaning there's no current institutions that are currently doing what we're doing. Therefore, there's no real market incumbents outside of ourselves and our limitations, could create a platform that could create new economic opportunities. And if you structure that market differently, instead of 90% of the wealth or 80% of the wealth being stuck at the very top, that wealth can be better distributed throughout the entire network. So over the past years, I've been excited with the evolution of the blockchain and then the introduction of NFTs, and that's becoming a bit more acceptable, and people start to understand the value of being able to share value of communities with members within the community, be able to create special experiences, and then the creator's economy. Okay, if you're able to create compelling content, exciting, entertaining, good narratives, good storytelling, get some good insight into people's lives, inspire them, educate them, etc. There's opportunity there, and ability for what we're doing right now, right?
Right.
And now NIL. So when I think about all of that together, and then the clear canvas of no one, as far as I know, is passionately pursuing no backboard basketball, right? But from the beginning, it's always been about change the game, change the community. It's always been about that spirit, which you talked about, conscious capitalism. So from there, what's your take at this time on name, image, and likeness, the NIL movement? But let's look at it from the conscious capitalist side, not necessarily, we know there's potential exploitation. If you're following the news, we've heard some things, some great things, some concerning things. We know about all that, but let's keep our optimistic hats on, our ideal hats on right now. And what do you see are the opportunities in that mindset of a conscious capitalist? What do you see as, from your understanding what NIL is, the opportunities to make an impact in the lives of these student athletes, starting as young as in sophomore, during high school in some states, all the way up until they graduate college?
Well, I think the opportunities are great in a lot of ways, and part of it is just the real life application. It's like real life business school, right? Like you're a college athlete or you're a high school athlete, and you're negotiating these deals, and you're learning about opportunities that are available to you, and that's going to do so much for you than 4 years in a classroom getting a business degree, like, because you get an opportunity to really get out there and learn it. I think also it's athletes at all levels now, because it's not just about pro athletes that have the opportunity to make this money. Is you're seeing like when we talked about earlier, the athletes, the platform, you're seeing the platform and the influence that athletes have. And we all see, athletes in the news doing things that aren't so positive. And then we see athletes in the news that are really using that platform in a really meaningful, impactful way. And I think that's one of the big parts, is like for high school athlete or college athlete to realize, hey, you know what, I may never become a professional athlete. I may not be like in the 1% of the 1% of the 1% who's making the $500 million contracts, but that doesn't mean that I don't have a lot of opportunity to still use what I can do through sports to impact other people and to take care of themselves financially too. There's a lot of opportunities, and there's so many. I mean, the sports business has never been bigger, and I love that more of it is going to the athletes now. I mean, it was a joke for so long how much money was being made off college athletics, and you go to bowl games and NCAA tournament, and they're selling the TV rights and all the jerseys and everything else, and what are the athletes getting for it? And that's what I love. I love the opportunity. Yes, there's been some challenges, like there's gonna be with anything, but I think for those people that say like, hey, what do I want to stand for? What do I want to promote? That's a lot of the opportunities with the NIL versus just like, hey, how do I go make some quick bucks by holding up a can of potato chips and then so I get paid on Instagram or whatever. I think they understand like there's something that you can really you can use social media, you can use NIL to really create, like I said, really create positive impact and really show people what you're about, what you stand for, what your values are.
Absolutely, and you nailed it out the gate. First and foremost, the best classroom is experience, right? So just the experience of having in high school, in college, for as long as you're in college, doing these deals and having that experience, as well as the experience of managing the money. And if you make some mistakes, you might as well make some mistakes with 10, 50, $100,000 as opposed to millions of dollars, right? And
Right.
then also, again, to your point, the the generations that are emerging right now, they want their brand to align with something that makes a difference, and I think they
Mhm.
get that they can move the needle as well. And what I'm excited for, Tim, and I think this might resonate with you as well, and something that's really jumped out to me when I had a conversation with Mark Kester, the author of NIL for All, is the ability to empower that everyday student athlete, regardless the
Mhm.
sport. That's the beauty of it, and bringing this to their awareness, and then help them have the tools to go out and leverage that. Like, everyone in general, we think the big two, football, basketball. But I was on a call the other day, and one of the representatives was from Cornell University, right? And they're talking equestrian and golf and some other sports that normally don't come top of mind, but in that niche, there's some opportunity in there,
Right.
right? So that is very, very exciting. Hey, so to kind of wrap this up, one thing I want to do as I close all these conversations is that give all my guests the opportunity to ask me any question they have with regards to backboard basketball, my effort, the sport, how it's played, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm from time to time you like a video. Hopefully you're actually looking at some of those videos you like that I post. I'm sure you are.
Right.
Um,
Right.
so shoot, what do you want to know about? What do you find curious, interesting, compelling, concerning, questions about, what have you?
Well, I did have a question I've been wanting to ask you for a while, but before that, I just want to say, like, I've been following what you're doing for a while, and what you're trying to create, and what you're building, and I can see how much it is like something that's really, really meaningful to you, and how it's in it's like it's a personal expression of, like, this is what I want to create. Because I don't know who this quote is from, but I've heard this basically explained in two different ways. And in the business world, how you've got two people that are out there, trying to start companies, trying to grow businesses, and they're you have mercenaries and you have missionaries, right? And the mercenaries are there, they're not bad people, but they're in it. It's financially driven, right? They're like, hey, this is a good idea. This is a market. This is a growth opportunity. People want this. So they're out there, they're trying to make that money. And then, a year or two later, you hear, oh, yeah, actually, I sold, I exited, I'm out, and now I'm doing something else, right? Because it was never
Right.
really about the mission. It was never about the cause. It was never about what I want to create or what I'm proud of. It was just, hey, I can make some money. And like I said, I'm not judging. It doesn't make you a bad person. But when you see the difference between somebody who has that missionary mindset, where they're like, this is something that, like, I want to bring to the world, something I want to create that's different that nobody else is doing. And so I admire that about you for sure. But what I
Thank you for
actually
that.
wanted to ask you is, you're thinking very, very, very outside the box, and reimagining the game of basketball in a totally different way. And I was always curious if how much of that had to do with the fact that you played for, like, one of the most unique coaches in history, who was an innovator and a different thinker. And coaching in general is it's so conservative, and it's so about just got to do it the safe way and the right way, and don't go outside the system, and don't try to be too creative, and just do this, and you get a coach like you had the opportunity to play for, who's just like, man, just throw it all out and do it do it a totally different way. We don't care who else is doing it. We don't care who likes it. We don't care if you think it's funny or you laugh or whatever. We just, this is what I'm doing. And he's like all in on it. And I feel like there has to be some things that influenced you in some ways, just the way that you see the game that you love, but in just, I want to do it in a totally different way, that from how it's being played now.
Great question, Tim, because no one's asked me that question before. And absolutely, like, there's two ways that my experience of playing with Paul Westhead. So coach, all shout out Paul Westhead, the guru of go, ESPN 30 for 30. Paul Westhead, the guru of go. Also, trivia question: if you want a stumper, he's the only coach to win both an NBA championship and a WNBA championship. So that's my coach, Paul Westhead. That's my guy. I would say, as far as the style, absolutely. I don't talk about this a lot, but quite candidly, it's a better game. And the reason I don't talk about it a lot, I'm building to the point where I'm able to provide access to guys all day, every day. I have my own facility, and I'll let them tell the people, and I'll let the results tell the story, and let the game stand on its own. That's really been my drive, is let the game stand. So, and I know it's a better game because of the pace it puts you through, which I got from playing from Coach West said, just the pace, space, and movement, pace, space, and movement. And this is pace, space, and movement at a accelerated level that stresses your skills because there's no backboard and it's a smaller hoop. And I've taken those theories in pace, space, and movement as a coach and have had great success coaching youth basketball and high school basketball with a version. It's a hard way to play. And even Coach West said, and I agree with him, that's lightning in a bottle to get a group of guys to buy in to play like that and to push themselves. You see a little bit of it with Sacramento, okay? The way they are committed to the sprint, they're gone. And then the other part which has helped me is just, Coach West said was considered the wacky professor. He's a Shakespearean scholar, and he's out the box. And
right.
just having been in that environment, right, and seeing how the media viewed him and people viewed him, but simultaneously the results we were driving, and kind of have that mindset. Yeah, okay, you can talk a clown. You may not understand now, but the results are going to demonstrate at the end of the day. So I'm playing for Coach Westhead, playing the fastest version of basketball recorded in college history. My senior year, we broke and set the NCAA record. Then the following 2 years, the guys that played with me but were younger, the Hanks, the Bowes, the Jeff Fryers, and then Per Steamers and the rest of those guys, Tony Walkers, Terrell, Lowry, Chris Knight, Greg Walker, all those guys, they set and broke 2 more times. So I think the record right now, Tim, is 122 points a game in 40 minutes. They average that. Wow. So, yeah, definitely. Good question, man. That is a good question. Thank you for that. And I need to circle up with you, man. If in some form and fashion, maybe get together for a coffee or a lunch, your time, my dime. I'm at a point where I have actionable things that to advance that I think can provide ROI for people. So I would love to connect with you and have a conversation. Any closing remarks, man? This has been great. I've enjoyed our time. I enjoyed your take on the athlete, especially your take on the conscious capitalism and athlete business people can make a big difference. There's just a sweet spot there.
Right. Well, I would say one thing that I think is going to change soon. I don't know when, but it's going to change soon. And I know it's a big part of what you're trying to do with community. And I see you out there, incorporating Web3 and some of these other technologies, and is just sort of the decentralization of ownership in sports. Right. So we live in this direct to consumer world now. It's like you don't need a record label to be a successful musician. You don't need a book publishing house to put your book out there. You don't need to work at a radio station to have a show like you're doing right now. Mm-hmm. And I see that model and I see the money out there, and I'm like, why are pro sports teams not owned by athletes and fans? Like what role do these billionaire guys who don't give a crap about the game or the fans, what role do they play? I understand there was a time financially you needed those guys. I don't think you need those guys anymore. I think you can crowdsource. I think you could sell actual shares. You have players and fans who are actually passionate about the game and want to grow the game and see it move forward, and see it as more than just a business, more than just an income stream. actually have a real ownership stake in it. And I think that's where it's going. And I know that's what you're about. And I don't know when it'll happen, but I think once it starts to happen, it'll happen really fast.
I agree. I'm a part of a DAO called a Krause House. Those guys are doing a great job. I think in the near future, within the next couple of seasons, they're going to figure out as a blockchain, a decentralized autonomous organization, how they and their membership are going to get, a minority stake in the NBA team. And I think there are other people out there looking to crack that code in some form and fashion. I think what Ice Cube's doing with the big three, that's the motto. Literally, that's the motto I'm following right now. The Ice Cube big three, and then tie in some fractionalization when we start doing some facilities in. So absolutely. And so when I talk about creating economic opportunities for youth, teenagers, and young adults, and creating opportunity for their own wealth, creating assets. That's what I'm talking about. Leveraging blockchain technologies, NFTs. You have equity crowdfunding. The AFL, A7FL. They are a emerging tackle football, no pads tackle football league. They've leveraged equity crowdfunding to allow the everyday citizen to own equity actually in that sports franchise. So it is out there, but big brands do a great job keeping us distracted. And unless something comes across our way to catch our attention, or we go down some of these rabbit holes, we won't know about it. It's a big world out there. It's a big world out there, and big established brands spend a lot of money to keep their message right in front of you. But to your point, like what you're doing with this, the locker room sports community, you've been able to carve out, pulled it off of, if you would, a LinkedIn, and pulled it off of a Facebook. Though you have a touch in all of those, you really have a community that can stand on its own. And I do think that's the way it's going to go. And I do think we're going to see more of that. And I think you're astute to see that. And I'm exploring ways to be able to. Here's what I'm excited about is that with NIL, these athletes can actually own equity in businesses, right? While they still perform. So now reimagine some of those things that are there with some of these young athletes starting their own street ball teams or et cetera, starting their own AAU team or program. And, so I think we're going to see some really interesting things emerge, and I'm looking to be at the forefront with that. And I really appreciate your astute comments, because lets me know you've been a fan, man. So thank you very much. That warms my heart. Appreciate it.
Yeah, no, it's been good. Yeah, we definitely gotta sit down sometime soon for sure.
Absolutely. So if you are in a sports game, or you want to connect with people in the sports space, LinkedIn, Locker Room Sports Community, Facebook, Locker Room Sports Community is on Facebook too. Is that correct?
Some of that's actually getting reworked right now, but yeah, I would say LinkedIn or Locker Room Community. Yep. Locker Room Sports Community is the best way right now. So,
yep, perfect. Well, with that, man, I thank you for your time, Tim. We'll catch up soon. You enjoy the rest of your weekend, man, and I'll catch up with you soon. Thank you very much for your time today.
All right, thanks. It's been a good time.
Blame your peace. Hey, so that's my man, Tim Claiborne, the founder of the Locker Room Sports Community. Just a great dude, just a great dude. I've met some great people through him. And again, if you're in the sports game, or you just want to connect with some cool people in the sports space on LinkedIn, you want to check them out in the Locker Room Sports Community. With that, I'm going to sign off. This is Mark T., founder of the No Backboard Basketball League and inventor of Basketball Remix, modern interpretation of original game. Check us out at No Backboards, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, and visit nobackboard.com so you can see what activities we are working on what projects we're working on right now. So with that, be blessed, and I'll see you at the top.